What is up, YouTube? I'm Devon DaVinci, leader of the Renaissance Crew. If you want to join the Renaissance Crew, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button and you too will be on the path of enlightenment. So for those of you that know anything about the current Cringe series I've been doing, I am tackling every single aspect of social society, including just about general, like when it comes to hobbies, niche areas, religion, politics, everything. Because I want everybody to sit back and be able to laugh at themselves. So I've already done a Christian cringe reaction. I've already done a psychic's cringe reaction. I've already done a con artist cringe reaction. I've already done a gamer's cringe reaction. And this right here is technically my Islam cringe reaction. Now, to be fair, there are, or at least what I was able to find, I was not able to find an actual Islam cringe compilation, especially by like the usual people that I react to, which is Sir Cringe and Trigger Happy. This video was done by a YouTube channel called Fake Engineer. There will be a link to it at the end of this video, just like every single video I react to. The last 30 seconds will have icon that you can click on that'll take you to their channel and you can watch the video, subscribe to them, things like that. So before I go ahead and get into this, I do want to go ahead and address one simple thing, and that is just remember this video is not meant to push any type of agenda. So like I said, when I've reacted to Christian videos and things like that, and me personally, I am an atheist, so take with that what you will, but I do find that the arguments that were in the Christian video didn't represent what most Christians would think Christianity falls under. It's mostly just the exceptions, and I'm assuming that this video is just the same. So the people that are the cringiest in these videos will probably be the people that, you know, are the exceptions, the loud, annoying people that, you know, just like to draw attention to themselves. But let's go ahead and get into this and see what it has to offer, because this is actually a very long video.
Well, my one question is basically, or my one comment, or passing comment, is that so many times you've brought up women in Islam. I'd just like to correct that I've read the Quran, and all Muslim scholars would agree with me that Islam gives women a lot of rights.
Okay, one second. Before I continue, I did forget one thing. I did start the video off a little bit late because there was a segment about the whole Ben Affleck on the Bill Maher show. I did skip it because I was already in a previous compilation, so I just wanted to get that out the way.
We over and over give Islam, women in Islam through the Quran, I may not say it through individuals who preach the religion, but Islam through the Quran gives women a lot of rights, and I need that to be heard. I need that to everyone to understand and hear that. I mean, I am a young Muslim woman myself. I sit before you, I have a voice, and I can speak to you, and I can look you in the eye, and I do have my rights. And when I go to Iran, I'm actually Iranian as well, so when I go to Iran, I also have my rights. I need it to be heard that the Quran, Allah Subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us our rights. People, individuals in countries and people who represent our religion may not, and they may do the wrong thing to sort of stand in front and show us religion and preach us religion, but Islam does.
All right, we're going to take that as a comment, a very passionate one at that. Okay.
Well, no. No, we're not. No, we're not going to take it as a comment. I can see your face, I can see your hair, and I can see you sitting in an audience with young gentlemen. Don't you tell me you can do any of that in Iran.
I can, though.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you cannot.
I can. In Iran, in the Islamic Republic of Iran, where I have been, my hair would be out. My hair would be out because my veil would be little. My hair would be out.
She just said she wouldn't need...
Just like in the Bible, in the letter to the Corinthians, it says to cover your head, to be modest.
It's a shame she spoiled what could have been a perfectly good statement.
All right, okay, I'm sorry.
Modesty would be there. I mean, you've been talking about these cheap jokes and things throughout this whole conversation, but you're the only one making the cheap comments.
You insult your sisters in Tehran who are being beaten and raped every day when you say that they have their rights in the Islamic Republic. It's an insult to the women of Iran.
I do not. Astaghfirullah.
Very useful. My name is Jumana Imad Musa Ahmed Al-Bahri, and I'm a student here at UCSD. I was reading your literature. I found that much more interesting than the talk. And I found some interesting things about the MSA, which is an organization that's very active on campus, and it is hosting our annual Hitler Youth Week. You should come out to those events. If you could clarify the connection between the MSA and jihad terrorist networks, because last I checked, we had to do our own fundraising, and we never get help from anyone. So if you could clarify the connection between UCSD's MSA, or if you don't have such information, if you could connect other MSAs on UC's, because the connection wasn't too clear in the pamphlet. Just if you could clarify.
Okay. Will you condemn Hamas here and now?
I'm sorry, what?
Will you condemn Hamas
Would I condemn Hamas?
as a terrorist genocidal organization?
Are you asking me to put myself on a cross?
So you won't. I actually have had this experience many times. You didn't read the pamphlet because the pamphlet is chapter and verse. The main connection is that the MSA is part of the Muslim Brotherhood Network as revealed in the documents.
I don't think you understood what I
Anyway,
meant by that.
this
I
is-
meant if I say something, I'm sure that I will be arrested for reasons of Homeland Security. So if you could please just answer my question.
If you condemn Hamas, Homeland Security will
If I
arrest you.
support Hamas, because your question forces me to condemn Hamas. If I support Hamas, I
Well,
look really
if you
bad.
won't condemn Hamas, obviously you support it. Case closed. I have had this experience, I had this experience at UC Santa Barbara where there were 50
Not necessarily.
members of the Muslim Students Association.
I can't really
Sitting
pause it. The video's
right
too
in the
long.
rows there. And throughout my hour talk, I kept asking them, will you condemn Hezbollah and Hamas? And none of them would. And then when the question period came, the president of the Muslim Students Association was the first person to ask questions. And I said, before you start, will you condemn Hezbollah? And he said, well, that question is too complicated for a yes-no answer. So I said, okay, I'll put it to you this way. I'm a Jew. The head of Hezbollah has said that he hopes that we will gather in Israel so he doesn't have to hunt us down globally. For it or against it?
For it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming and showing everybody what's here.
Muslim. I'm not any religion at all.
Uh-huh.
But it bothered me when you were talking about Islam being not a religion of peace. Muhammad was a very peaceful man.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, well, you read,
No,
yes,
no.
and he had a great respect for women. His
Okay, well,
wives were given a great deal of power over him. And
Have
in
you been
their
reading
own
Karen Armstrong? Is that where this is
No,
coming from?
no. I've read Karen Armstrong, but no.
Now, I have enough respect for
And you know what's happening now with Islam.
Sam
is
Harris that-
bastardized, just like all the other religions. But
I can normally take what he says
So you're saying
kind
the
of
true
off his word,
true
but
Islam
I don't know
is
enough
different
about it. I
than
have to
would-
look more
would
into
just nullify all
Muhammad
my concerns
himself.
about Islam?
I don't think any religion is a good religion.
Before
but
I say
it
anything.
bothers me that you singled Islam out, and
Okay.
that you said that
I will talk about what
actually that Muhammad was a peaceful man.
I will talk about what I did
That-
study
He-
about
I mean,
Muslims
Muhammad-
and Islam after.
Whoever, I mean,
I probably can't
knows
do
who
it neither.
Muhammad was. I
Damn.
mean, Muhammad's actually closer to history than Jesus and many of the other patriarchs, so we know more about him. But obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty about what's factual. But the example of Muhammad, as held in Islam universally, is not of a pacifist. He was a conquering warlord who spread the faith with the sword quite successfully. And the expectation is this is a way of being in the world that is by example totally justified. Now this is different from Jesus. Jesus did not spread the faith with a sword. He was essentially a hippie who got crucified. Now that's a different example, and it's a difference that is a benefit to Christianity at the moment, because in Christianity you can come up with a rationale for saying, listen, it's not about conquering the world. It's not about winning in this life. We just got to wait for Jesus to come back and get raptured. But you can't really do that in Islam.
Some of that
Christianity has a
is
line,
tied to war and
"Render
battle
unto God
also,
that
though.
which is God, and under Caesar that which is Caesar's," and that line has done from Matthew has done huge work to separate Christianity from claim upon terrestrial power. Now, it's imperfect work, and there are a lot of crazy Christians who want terrestrial power, but at least there's some rationale within Christianity for doing that. That rationale doesn't exist in Islam. There's no line in the Quran which says, listen, guys, this is not about politics, it's not about controlling people's lives. You can be privately religious and let everyone else flourish.
But the subjugation of women was not something that Muhammad was
You're just not, please just go read the Quran and read some significant, okay, well then surely you read the part in the Quran which talked about husbands scourging or whipping, depending on the translation, their wives who are disobedient. Now,
that's in Judaism also.
What was that? Okay, okay, so it's in Judaism, but I will grant you that the worst books ever written were in the Old Testament. Okay, but there's a reason why Jews are not stoning their wives for adultery at this moment in history, and we can talk about those reasons. What I said about Islam was intended to counter exactly the presuppositions you are now bringing to me. I don't have time to do it here, but I can only invite you to read more on the subject, because we are deluding ourselves with a lot of wishful thinking. I mean, we are desperate to believe that all of the problems in the world are of our own making. If we could just spread more money around and behave better on the global stage, people will treat us well.
I am here to
I think you could have answered that better.
Question. I know that
I was waiting for an answer for a
Islam
certain
and
part,
all
but it
Muslims as that.
never really
But
came
there's
through. Now,
1.8
I'm sure you probably
billion
addressed it
Muslim
at some other point.
followers
But
of Islam. We have 8 million plus Muslim Americans in this country, and I don't see them represented here. But my question is, how can we fight an ideological war with weapons? How can we ever end this war? The jihadist ideology that you talk about, it's an ideology. How can you ever win this thing if you don't address it ideologically?
Great question. I am so glad you're here, and I am so glad you brought that up because it gives us an opportunity to answer. What I find so amazing is since the beginning of this panel, which we are here about Benghazi attack against our people, not one person mentioned Muslims. We are here against Islam, or we're launching war against Muslims. We are here to discuss how 4 Americans died and what our government is doing. We were not here to bash Muslims. You were the one who brought up the issue about most Muslims, not us. And since you brought it up, allow me to elaborate with my answer. There are 1.2 billion Muslims in the world today. Of course, not all of them are radicals. The majority of them are peaceful people. The radicals are estimated to be between 15 to 25%, according to all intelligence services around the world. That leaves 75% of them peaceful people. But when you look at 15 to 25% of the world Muslim population, you're looking at 180 million to 300 million people dedicated to the destruction of Western civilization. That is as big of the United States. So why should we worry about the radicals, 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill. Because it is the radicals that behead and massacre. When you look throughout history, when you look at all the lessons of history, most Germans were peaceful. Yet the Nazis drove the agenda. And as a result, 60 million people died. Almost 14 million in concentration camps. 6 million were Jews. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Russia, most Russians were peaceful as well. Yet the Russians were able to kill 20 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at China, for example, most Chinese were peaceful as well. Yet the Chinese were able to kill 70 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Japan prior to World War II, most Japanese were peaceful as well. Yet Japan was able to butcher its way across Southeast Asia, killing 12 million people, mostly killed with bayonets and shovels. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. On September 11th in the United States, we had 2.3 million Arab Muslims living in the United States. It took 19 hijackers, 19 radicals to bring America down to its knees, destroy the World Trade Center, attack the Pentagon, and kill almost 3,000 Americans that day. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. So for all our powers of reasons and us talking about moderate and peaceful Muslims, I'm glad you're here. But where are the others speaking out? It's truly a moderate Muslim.
All right, I'm going to watch this one and then I'm going to end it. I don't want to do the whole thing so I can continue to talk also.
Kill women, who maim women, who genitally mutilate women. She needs to stand up and speak out about the kidnapping of the girls by Boko Haram that you are not speaking for. You are taking your place while you have access to the media, and you are here obviously because of your deception and lies and what you did at the Heritage Foundation, so you can point the light to the issue of the Islamic. And thank you so much for bringing that out. Use that opportunity to speak about where are the girls that were kidnapped by your own co-religionists. As a Muslim woman, it is people like you who needs to stand up.
Ms. Ahmed, we'll give you the last word.
I have been speaking out against Boko Haram kidnappings. We have been. And I just want to clarify
you
one
guys
point.
should know I
You
don't
mentioned
give a damn about
me
Sean
being friends
Hannity
with the
at all,
convicted
right?
terrorists. I've never even met him. I saw him once at the court. And I was a Muslim community spokesperson in Oregon. And obviously, a mosque burned down right after his arrest. So we were suffering a lot of hate crimes.
Please. There's plenty of information that people can easily find on Google by just typing your name.
Well, I'm telling you the truth from my side. I'm sure there are a lot of people say a lot of things.
You and the word truth need to be in the same sentence, Saba. Let's be very clear about this.
Well, I think you're misguided, and I think you're the ones who needs to hear the truth from Muslims.
I'm very clear, and I don't mince words, and I don't beat around the bush, and I know my facts.
All right,
do you know it? Do you know any Muslims?
Yes, I do. A lot.
Here.
Remember, I was born and raised in the Middle East.
I know. I wrote about you. You're Noor Saman.
I'm very familiar with your writing.
How many Muslim friends do you have here in the U.S.?
I do have friends here in the U.S.
But
that's beside the point. That is beside the point. That's beside the point. As a patriotic American,
I am enjoying the argument, though.
to shine the light about how I can protect my fellow American citizens, because I am an American first, and my loyalty
Not
is
from an
for this
intellectual
country.
standpoint, just, you know, I just like seeing them
I'm the
fight.
first person to
That's all it is.
I'm
This is a
American.
fight.
Fight for them. You are not. Your loyalty is somewhere else. It's about time we see more patriotism from the Muslim community and less terrorism.
Bridget, I'm an American, and I'd like you to defend me.
I defend people who are worth defending. I don't defend liars and deceivers. I defend patriots who love this country and are willing to put their lives on the line to protect it. You are not. Your loyalties are to defend a terrorist who wanted to blow up a Christmas tree lighting in Oregon and kill many Americans. Shame on you.
Bridget, every defense lawyer has to defend somebody, okay? I don't think you've studied criminal law too well.
You are an activist. You are far more than just a defense lawyer. You are an activist with shady national security and shady character. Let's take the gloves off and speak the truth, Saba. This time, you're dealing with Brigitte Gabriel. You're not dealing with somebody timid that you can manipulate and talk over. Not this time, Saba. People like you need to be put in their place. This is America. We love our country, and we will fight for our country and protect her from people exactly like you, and expose people exactly like you.
Wow.
Damn.
Bridget,
Yes.
you just sound very, very angry.
No,
I think you
I'm
need
very
some reality
passionate.
check.
I'm not angry.
I did want to make
Angry
a point.
is something
Ramadan's
completely
coming
different.
up, so please do visit a local mosque wherever you live. I hope you get to meet a few other Muslims besides me and learn some, meet some people.
About a minute left.
Outstanding, wonderful Muslim friends.
Good.
Who
So go
are
talk to
very
them.
much different than you.
Okay, well, but I'd love to meet you too. Let's meet up here. You know, I think we need to talk to each other without screaming. And
we're not screaming, we are talking passionately.
Now
That's
you're
very
calming
different.
down, but from the beginning you were very, very loud, and I don't know what was going on, but now you're starting to calm down,
Because
which is good.
I don't allow liars to speak over me, because I put the truth
How
out.
dare you
I
call
will
me a
not let you
liar?
go unchallenged.
You are so mean. Did someone ever tell you?
Children? I'm a terrorism
You're
analyst, darling. I
slandering me.
debate you. You're a lawyer.
How?
Meanness has nothing to do with logic. We're having a
Bridget,
logical, factual conversation. So
you
let's
are
leave the little
slandering
girl
me
play that you're
for-
trying to pull aside. I'm a businesswoman. I don't play like
I know.
that.
I can see.
Has to stop now.
Ahmed, jump.
That's enough of that. I'm going to go ahead and try to end the video portion so I can get into the talking portion, because there are a lot of things that I want to address, and I don't want to end the video just flat out. First of all, let me go ahead and say that this wasn't necessarily like the other cringe videos that I've done. The other cringe videos are targeted more towards like comedy. usually taking people that like make fools of themselves and making compilations out of it. Whereas this one, it seemed like there was people making arguments, but I mean, yeah, the arguments weren't really good. I will say that. I don't think the arguments were very good, but it wasn't necessarily like comedy. So if anybody can find an actual comedy cringe compilation with Muslims, I'd be sure to try this again. But yeah, this one is, like I said, different than the normal ones because I'm not sure if the normal people that I react to just didn't do the Muslim ones. I mean, there could be all kinds of reasons behind that, but they just didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know. I did get into a debate one time with someone that was on my one of my videos, and we did go back and forth on it wasn't necessarily Islam being a peaceful religion. I forgot what exactly the topic of our debate was, but I did go and look into more of the Quran and things like that as I was debating, and I will admit there's a lot of lines in the Quran that gets used by people that argue against Quran, and they tend to cut certain phrases short or they'll leave something out. Like for example, I know a lot of people have probably heard the phrase Islam tells you to kill infidels and like where you find them and things like that. But the thing is, and I'm not arguing for Islam because like I said, I think all religions are bullshit, but it does say that you should do it only to people that wish to do you harm. Like usually that's how most of the lines tend to go. They talk about people that wish to do harm to you, and then you're free to like defend yourself or, you know, harm them before they have a chance to harm you and things like that. A lot of them tend to do that. And I will say that that is one thing that Judaism and Christianity does not do. Judaism and Christianity will definitely tell you to go out and kill people that don't believe or people that go against the word of God, even if they're not being violent. Just, you know, it doesn't really discriminate when it comes to just flat out promoting violence. But like I said, when it comes to Islam, it does still have its things that make it just like any other religion with the whole like bad arguments. When it comes to women's rights and things like that, women in Islam do have less rights than men. One of the things that I pulled out in the debate was the law. I forgot the exact portion of the Quran that says it, but it talks about women being used as witnesses in court. And even though the specific line talked about transactions, I believe that goes for other things as well, because it doesn't talk about other things. So I think that it pretty much sets a precedent. If the book doesn't address something directly, then it's usually setting a precedent for it. And it does talk about that in the event of certain things, you should have two men to act as witnesses for in a specific trial, and if one man can't do it, or if there isn't another man available, then you should use one man and two women, because one woman is going to be the witness, but then you need another woman in case she forgets, because women are like have half the mind as men or some shit like that. Yeah, like I said, there are a lot of different arguments, and I do think that there is some discrimination among men and women in Islam. Now, to be fair, it does say that, like, while a woman should dress a certain way and it's all about modesty and stuff, it does also say the same thing about men. It's just that men don't hide their face, and I think that's something that women should not have to do, personally. The book, I'm not sure exactly what it says about that, because I didn't go into that when I was debating. I was only talking about the specific points that I was making. That's something I would have to look into further. I also didn't bring up Muhammad because I don't know enough about the actual historical figure and the fact, like what happened factually. If I do happen to look into it, then I will not really hesitate to address what is presented as facts, because usually that's what I like to go after, facts. I don't care about opinions or specific context or things like that. Because if something says something directly, unless there's a if a holy book says something specifically, unless there is a line around it that invalidates a specific line or something like that, then I don't care context. Oh, well, God or Allah, whoever else wouldn't want you to do that because that's violent, or it goes against what he would normally preach. Or, oh, well, he wouldn't want you to do that because that was the old book and this is the new book, or some shit like that. Well, first of all, if that's the case, then that is a contradiction. That is something that shouldn't have been put in the book to begin with. And if the God that made the book doesn't see that as a contradiction or something that's bad, then that means that the God itself isn't all knowing. I had this exact argument with the same person in the debate when they said that that God puts bad stuff on earth and things like that because he wants to test you. He's tempting you. He wants to see how you would react in certain situations. But the thing is, if God is all knowing, he shouldn't have to do that because he already knows what your decisions are going to be made, or what decisions you're going to make ahead of time. There's no point in making a test if you already know the answers for sure. And then they keep going back to, oh, well, he doesn't know what you're going to do. Well, then that means he's not all knowing. Oh, but he is all knowing. Oh, well, he does. That means he does need to test you. Like, they keep going into this circle and they don't see that they're in a circle. Like, to them, it just doesn't really click. Like, that's for all religions, not just one specific one, but all religions. They get themselves stuck in this circle and they just don't see the actual, like, contradiction that they fell into. I want to make this analogy because this came to me after that argument. Think of life, and if God did exist, I'm not saying he does because I don't believe that God does exist. But if a God did exist, think of life as a movie. God is the director, and we are actors with a script. God is the one that make us who we are. All the books say that God make us the way that we turn out. Like, he knows that I'm going to be an atheist when he makes me. He knows that, but he still makes me that way. So think of it this way. God created a script for me, and in my script, my character is an atheist. I'm acting out what he told me to do. Now, if God is going to punish me for acting out a script the way that he wrote it without changing it in any way, he didn't make me not an atheist. He could have, if he didn't like it, he could have changed my character. Okay, you're no longer an atheist. He still made me an atheist. But if he's going to send me to hell because I did what he told me to, then he either doesn't know that I'm going to actually be an atheist, or he's a dick. Bottom line, those are my two things. Anyway, I got to hurry up and wrap this up. My video is about to end. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share. For those that are part of the Renaissance crew, you've just been a little bit more enlightened. And if you can find another cringe compilation, be sure to find it for me, and I'll react to that. Anyway, I'm going to give you guys the deuces, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video. Deuces.